Hey, Jack.
Jimmy.
How did Luke Skywalker feel when the Emperor demonstrated the full power of the dark side?
No idea.
He was shocked.
Nice. I like that one. That was a good one.
Wanna buy some death stick? Roger that.
Jedi.
That's not a moon. It's a space station.
Always a pleasure to meet you.
And my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
You failed, Your Highness. I'm a Jedi.
Good one. Hello, explorers. I'm Jack, and welcome to episode 110. And as always, thank you very much for joining us. If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating on your podcast provider of choice. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you're joining us via YouTube.
Yes, as always, welcome back or welcome to the show. If this is the first time listening, you're new to the Explore the Force. I'm Jimmy, and one of your hosts, Jack. How are you, sir?
I'm hot in the UK at the minute. We are melting. Obviously, you've been going through it, I think, in Kansas as well. But I am very, very hot. This is actually my last episode in the UK as I'm moving to Canada shortly as well. So all hands on deck at the minute for packing. It's just been chaotic, buddy. How about you?
Man, not as chaotic. Busy summer so far. I can't believe we're almost in July. That makes me sad as a teacher. But no, I've been good. Getting ready to go home and see some family for a week or so. So that's always exciting.
Nice.
But let's head over to our Force encounters for the week.
For my ally is the Force.
Okay, this week I was sent some awesome comics from a friend, Matt, which were the Jedi Knight issues 1 to 4. And if you're wondering what it is or what it's about, then head over to our YouTube because we've got some top-notch reviews done by Jimmy. And after watching them, I just had to get those comics. And so far, I am impressed. How about you, Jimmy?
Yeah, first Force encounter is making those reviews. I'm all caught up. Episode 4 for issue 4 should come out maybe about the same time this comes out. It'll be up on YouTube just soon. It's a lot of editing that goes in on those. So that one will be coming out, and then issue 5 comes out in July. So it'll be a little bit of delay there because I'll be in Pennsylvania coming back, so I'll have to grab it, make it, so it'll come out mid-July. But my big thing has been the final book in the High Republic, Trials of the Jedi. I'm about halfway through.
Nice.
I would probably be done with it. We had big storms and knocked down my fence, and I had to put that back up. And then just knowing it's the end of this portion of the story, I've kind of been taking my time. So, but it's been amazing so far.
Nice.
All the characters we love, and bad guys and good guys, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of been my Force encounters, the books, and the making those comic reviews. So, other than that, let's go and see what's coming out of Bat 2 as far as news.
The people in this crowd will soon be among almost 40,000.
For those who are among the 900 with news media or promotional tickets, this sneak preview probably will be the only chance to see The Empire Strikes Back without standing.
All right. Movie scooper Daniel Richtman is reporting that Lucasfilm have decided to put the upcoming New Jedi Order movie project starring Daisy Ridley as Rey on the back burner, although he states the film will go ahead in the future. Boo. He clarified that it will still move forward, but it's just not the priority at the time. The Rey movie is on hold once again, as both Sean Levy and James Mangold's Star Wars films are moving forward first. The project is not canceled, just temporarily on hold, Richtman said, via Comic Book Movie. This is not the first time Richtman claimed the movie is on hold. In September 2024, he claimed Rey's next Star Wars movie was on hold because the script needs more work. Initial reports suggested Rey could start filming New Jedi Order this year. However, Jordan Remy, editor-in-chief of The World of Real and Tomato Meter approved critics, wasn't convinced it was possible. According to him, there was no chance filming would begin in September 2025. In fact, he was doubtful that the Ray's anticipated project would see the light of day. Although Ridley's return will be delayed, her comeback is inevitable. Several sources told The Hollywood Reporter in November of 2024 she is significant in the franchise. She is the most valuable cinematic asset that they told THR, adding, maybe the only one Star Wars has right now. So there's no chance they will move forward without her. Earlier this year, she was asked about the progress of her Star Wars film, particularly when they would start filming. However, she shared a disappointing response saying, I don't know. So yes, again, and I know Charlie's bummed. Got pushed again. I don't understand what's so hard about it, I guess. Personally, I mean, they've have some top-notch writers. They've had top-notch writers. I mean, they had the writers of Peaky Blinders, and I can't think of their names. I remember their stuff that they worked on because that's usually what I focus on more. I just don't understand. But maybe this has to do with how they want things released now. They're going to set something up in the Dawn of the Jedi movie that's going to come into play later. That's fine. If that's why, then I'm all for it. But what about you, Jack? How do you feel about, once again, since London, this is the fifth time? It feels like this is movies in the news every other month.
No, you're right. I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm not going to lie. Makes sense why there's a bit of a lack of it at Celebration in Japan. However, if it's for the right reasons, as in want to get it right, which I'm sure it is, I'm more than happy. Take your time, no rush, do it properly, if anything, because we know what happens when you rush projects, as we'll talk about in the main show. Now, Andor has been the most critically acclaimed TV series in the Star Wars canon. Now it appears it is drawing viewers to match this distinction. Andor ratings have grown each week during season 2's run, growing from 721 million minutes to 821 million minutes and 830 million minutes in weeks 1 through 3, respectively, indicating strong word of mouth for the well-received show. Andor viewership also appears to have impacted the movie ratings for the week, with nearly the 9-year-old Rogue One placing 9th in the top 10 movies. And there's a whole bunch of statistics that we've got up. And it does look like Andor's done pretty well. However, 830 million minutes. So that might not necessarily mean the viewers' numbers. For example, it could mean 830 million people have just watched it for 1 minute. Highly doubt that. It is huge. We know it's up for a whole host of Emmy awards, but just if you're not watching on YouTube, so we've put up a graph there. We've got Andor at number 1. What's that at number 2? Bluey. Yeah. Then Nona, Grey's Anatomy, Criminal Minds, You, The Last of Us, The Rookie, The Secret Life of Mormon Wives, and Forever. So 24 episodes. As we're looking at it now, 931 minutes viewed. Not too shabby. I think Disney will be happy with this. What's your thoughts on this news, Jimmy?
I mean, they have to be, really. I mean, given the fact that they're in 1 and 2. I mean, I know one of them's Bluey, but I mean, whatever it takes. They're the top spot in streaming for those 2 weeks or whatever that week. But I mean, the problem with it is here's a show that's doing well and it's done. I hope they don't we got to do we got to do another one. Excuse me, sir, everyone's dead. Andor's dead. What? Bring him back. So maybe we'll see. Maybe, although I wonder too, though, is are they going to see this and think, oh, this is how we should drop all of our shows now? We should drop them 3 episodes or 4 episodes at a time or all at once, or that will be insane if they do that.
Yes,
it will.
No, it would be insane, but I'll be in Canada by then, so it won't bother me at all. So bring it on.
Everyone says that you look like Jude Law, but I just like to point out that everyone who's famous in nighttime television, what's their first name? It's Jimmy.
Of course it is.
All right. You got Jimmy Fallon, you got Jimmy Kimmel, James Corbin? That was his name? James, but it's it's fine. Anyways, Jimmy Kimmel is taking a well-deserved break for the summer. I'm sure. Well, never mind. I shouldn't say that. But the show must go on. And the first guest host lined up is none other than Cassian Andor himself, Diego Luna. No news on whether the Captain Andor will interrogate the guest or play nice. So there we go. That'll be exciting that he gets to do that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, something fresh, and it's good to see that he's still going after the Andor hype. Looks like Diego Luna has not slowed down. I think he's
Not
going to
at all.
catapult himself to stardom with this sort of stuff that he's doing. And yeah, happy days. And I think that is now, that's wrapped up this week's news. Short but sweet. Okay, so welcome to the main part of this week's show. And joining us is a longtime friend, Brandon. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, guys. How we doing?
Very well,
Long
thank
time
you.
no see, man.
I know it's been probably
40.
50 minutes or so.
Yeah. May have been an hour. Who knows?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen Jack, though. I mean, he's looking more and more like Dude Law every day.
Oh,
He
no.
knows. This guy knows. Awesome. Just while we've got you, Brandon, feel free, mate, to promote your channel and all that good stuff. Floor's yours, buddy. Go for it.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So everything Claim Brandolorian. Check me out on YouTube and Instagram mainly. TikTok's kind of going up a little bit, I will say. So yeah, just go follow me there. 4 main points on the channel within Star Wars lore, theories, Funko, and Lego. Got quite the collection behind me. A lot of money, a lot of gifts, time spent. So why not talk about it? So yeah. And plus, I love lore. I love coming up with predictions and theories. I think currently I think I have 2 predictions right out of 1,100. So I'm still going strong there. So yeah, just come check it out. Good chill time.
Awesome.
Nice.
Again, just a massive thank you, mate, for coming on the show. Super appreciate your time. You've been there since the start, since we got this ball rolling. So you really are no stranger at all. And what an episode to jump on. We're going to start talking about the Acolyte. Obviously, a little bit about the Acolyte for those that haven't watched it yet. I'm sure there's people here listening that haven't. It takes place, I think, roughly 100 years before The Phantom Menace premiered on Disney Plus, with 2 episodes on June the 4th, 2024. And the showrunner, Leslie Headland, was the one in charge, famous for one of her programs called Russian Doll. If, unlike these 2 fine gentlemen, you're from the UK, actually aired on June the 5th. And we've decided, now's the time. Just over a year later, we're going to look back and just, go through some points that we've got. So, got lots to chat about.
Yeah, tons. Especially with the way the show, the effect that the show had on the fandom. We'll just put it that way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, as always, knowing we're doing this, we reached out to everybody on the socials, and you guys, of course, did not disappoint. We got bombarded with people's awesome opinions, all over the map with this one, but a lot of love. But again, we kind of flow in that circle of, try to be positive. But our first comment's going to come from Commander Taylor. And she said, give the writing to the team who wrote The High Republic. Justina Ireland wrote the same characters in Wayseeker. They are way better. She and I, with Jason from This Dad Reads, we just dove into the Wayseeker book that was Endara from the Acolyte. And then, of course, it brought Vernestra in from the High Republic and the Acolyte. And it did a really good character dive. And I think on that episode, we decided that maybe they should just let the people who know what they're doing write the stories. But I think that's where Taylor's coming from.
Yeah. Next comes from Johnny Tobin, saying he needs more Acolyte for sure. And he said he felt that season 1 was like the prologue to something really cool. Totally agree there. A season of Sith training with Khmer, Nosha, and Plagueis, whilst Vernestra Rowe is on the hunt, sounds cool. I said it was underrated for sure. Really, really good points there. I don't think we've seen Sith actually training, apart from animation-wise, Maul and Savage. Apart from that, I can't think. Any of you guys think off the top of your head where you've seen Sith training?
No. Yeah. Probably
Not
other
too-
than them 2. Yeah, really. And they don't even really dive into it that deep.
No.
But yeah, we haven't really seen that.
No. So really good point there. Thank you, Johnny. What else we got, Jimmy?
All right, our friends at Rebel Scum, hosting Rebel Scum Con in August, say it deserves way more love than it initially got.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And agreeing with them is Skywalking Gear and 182. Also said, more love, please.
We got Jangar Cosplay said more love in season 2, same as 1/4 portion.
And next up, we've got Sam13 TV said he absolutely loves the show.
Nice. And then lastly, we got Tahu from Down Under, our friend from our Tuesday night show. Says way too much negativity thrown at this piece of work. Carrie Ann Moss in Star Wars, amazing career move. So there we go. So that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. We had a pretty good conversation going on over at Discord, I think, as well. People chiming in there too. So if you're not a member of that Discord yet, hop in. We got Brandon on there. We've got other content creators. So it's not just about Explore the Force. We've got Crafting on Ilum in there, and Clan Brandolorian, and a couple others, I think, in there as well. So get kind of exposed to a lot of different people, a lot of different things. So join that up. Message us, I guess, and we'll give you that information.
We sure will. Right, so we've got a whole load of hot takes that we're going to discuss today. But we'll start with the obvious one. And we'll start with you, Brandon, since you're the guest, mate. Would you be down for a season 2?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think whether it's a season 2 or not, I just want to see a next step. Because I feel like the story was what it was. We got the first 8 episodes of this story that we see. And I just think where you go from here is it's Chimere, who I think unanimously is the highlight of this entire show. But at the same time, there's a lot of cool characters in there. But I just think it's Chimere, and you don't bring in a character like Plagueis live action for the first time ever. And speaking of like mysterious characters, this is the guy right here. So
exactly.
You don't bring him in and don't continue this. I think that makes the Acolyte being canceled even worse, is when you don't continue on this. Like I was telling Jimmy earlier, this would be kind of more of a touchy subject like 8 months ago when it was still fresh and was just, getting all the weird hate. But now it's just more settled, and it's just, I feel more joy with it. Just knowing that what could be. So yeah, Plagueis, Chimere, Osha, whatever, if she ends up getting killed off or she's still there. Obviously this is going to lead right up to Palpatine. So why not, discover and dive deeper into this? And plus, I didn't even think of Vernestra in the side. One of the comments, to start this little segment going, of Vernestra kind of chasing them. Like, that would be pretty awesome to see that. So that adds another little storytell right there. So yeah, I liked it. I want to see more, whether it's a continuation of the Acolyte or not. Just more Chimere, more Plagueis. That's what I want.
Nice. What about you, Jimmy?
Oh, hell yeah. I'll tell you that episode 5 kind of took me down a notch whenever they killed my favorite character. But yeah, I think the potential for season 2, I gave this show, I think, like a 65 or 70%. Like, it's not my favorite, but I thought there was just some really cool things in it. But it really, the thing for me was the potential for the next season. And I'm going to wait to talk about when we get down here to number 8, what I think maybe they could have done. But yeah, I'm 100% down for it. I think they could. We reported last week on the budget being the main reason for it. They went way over, like 50 million over budget. And maybe, I don't know, we said we don't know why. I would be interested to find out. But yeah, definitely here for a season 2. You have a lot of creative characters, and that whole idea, like, just like Brandon said, the whole season could be them training Chimere and whatever twin he has, and then the other twin and Vernestra chasing them down and just always hunting them, going through their own stuff. It'd be pretty awesome, and it could be so low key, low budget.
Yeah,
but yeah.
No, I'm totally with you guys. I'd love a season 2 myself personally. We'll sort of touch on the budget later on, because I think that might be one of the contributing factors to exactly what happened with the show. But yeah, I'm so down for a season 2. How hyped was I, Jimmy? Can you remember in that auditorium in London? Oh my god!
Oh gosh, yeah. Because remember, Jack got in. Was it an Acolyte panel, or was it after the main Lucas?
I think it was the High Republic panel. Or was it a Lucas?
Well, no, because you saw it before I did. I saw it at the High Republic. So anyways, like, Jack comes out just like and this is the first time Jack and I had really met, and he's like freaking out about this Acolyte trailer. And so even from that point on, Acolyte was his number one show. Was convinced that Skeleton Crew wasn't happening. We've all come a long way. Jack's had a long journey. And but yeah, he was super pumped. And then eventually I got to see it at the I think it was the High Republic panel where I got to finally see it.
Yeah.
Because they brought Leslie Headland out, and I was like, oh, okay. Then we had to wait like a few months before the trailer dropped. But yeah, you were stoked, man. Like this was all you talked about. You bought a T-shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, you know you're serious when you buy a T-shirt.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
it. Yeah, I went the full hog. I was ready to go all out. Obviously, the biggest thing for me in the trailer is when all those lightsabers got turned on
Yes.
and they're all in the forest, and we know how that went. Which again, we'll touch on later in the show. We've sort of spoken about, you know, if we were to go into a season 2, what would we want, or what would you do, given the chance? I know Brandon spoke about his little, you know, what he'd like to see. Jimmy, anything else to add, or anything else that you'd like to see in a season 2?
Man, there is so much. Like I want to know what Plagueis is up to. I want to find out like maybe some flashbacks, or maybe at that point he has an apprentice. You know, like just want that relationship to see what he was up to. I really want to see, you know, even the. And I know this probably isn't going to be a huge hit, but that I can't remember the politician's name, but he had that bill that were trying to like control the Jedi.
Yeah.
And there was mention of something similar to that in the Wayseeker book. And I thought that'd be an interesting political side of things where they're arguing, you know, given the political climate we live in today, arguing about like who's, you know, what the Jedi, who controls the Jedi. Do you know what I mean? Like, do the Jedi can control the Jedi, or do the, I mean, we would kind of know how it ends in a way because we'd get the Phantom Menace and we'd see it there. But you know, that would be an interesting political side of, you know, like who do they work for kind of thing. So I think there's some different stories they could tell. You know, you have maybe I can never remember the twins. Osha was the one that was Soul's Padawan, correct?
Yeah.
And she's the one who gets her memory. And then the other one gets her memory erased. So them like maybe training her or making her into like, there's so many storylines they could do.
Loads.
And it wouldn't cost a lot of money. So yeah. All kind, and then, you know, like I said, Brandon and I talked earlier, I'm not smart enough to make these decisions. I don't get paid millions of dollars. So people who are probably come up with way better storylines than we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So anything now? So obviously it's been over a year. I'm sure you've all watched it again, binge watched it, whatever. Looking back now, after a rewatch, if you like, I'll start with you, Brandon. Is there anything you've looked back at now and thought, you know what, actually, I don't like that, or you know what, actually, I do like that, or has nothing changed?
Ooh. Okay, so I would say the one thing that kind of sticks out to me is the Osha and May dynamic. So it's like, you know, they're twins, but they're actually one. It was kind of weird how Mother Anastasia kind of like described them. So, you know, they're actually one, but it's just kind of like a split of their like magic or whatever it was. It's kind of hard to consume, but the more I go on, I feel like, you know, maybe episode 3, which I think visually was stunning. I think, you know, seeing all the witches, and it's not the Sisters of Dathomir that we're used to. It's kind of like a different little twist to them.
Yeah.
I think it looks really cool, like the more I watch it, but it's just kind of like we didn't really need that. You know, like it could have been maybe wrapped up in that episode where we see Soul and how we killed Mother Anastasia, and how it was kind of all like a mistake, like it was an accident. I feel like they could have kind of announced that there. And I feel like that's kind of where like a lot of the fans get lost. But I will say, watching more of that, I'm just kind of like, this could have been wrapped quicker. But one thing that I do like a lot of is Carrie Ann Moss's character, and I'm already blanking what her name is.
Indara.
Yes, Indara. I think it's actually really cool that she is like done in the first 5 minutes, because with, you know, the actress that she is, I feel like that only speaks more volumes that the Jedi and all of these characters that were like, oh, these are the main characters. Like the story's not about them whatsoever.
No,
it's clearly about an acolyte and Chimere and what his backstory is leading to Plagueis. So I really do appreciate that a lot more, because I mean it's right at the beginning of episode 1, in and out quick, and then of course in a flashback, but that just really speaks volumes that this isn't what the main story is. So those are probably my 2 things there.
Nice, great points. And we sort of mentioned it as well. The Acolyte, it did bomb, especially on IMDb. It's something like 4.2 out of 10. It's like 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's a little bit harsh, but we'll come on to that. Jimmy, anything for you, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I love the action in it. Like some of the action and some of the best action in Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they hadn't shown us. Before those episodes dropped, we saw both of the big Force Fu fight scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and I harp back to like when they showed Maul's, or Ben Darth Maul at the time, double bladed lightsaber for the previews for the Phantom Menace. Like, why ruin that surprise? Or I mean, they showed us the entire fights, and it just. And like I said, my problem is I probably watched them 50 times a piece because I just thought it was so cool. And then, of course, the lightsaber battles in episode 5 and then episode 8 were, I thought, pretty phenomenal. As far as that stuff is concerned, I loved it. I don't understand this murder mystery, but it was not, because you figured it out in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, my thing is, if it's a murder mystery and you're telling us it's a murder mystery, make it a mystery. Like, make us think, is Osha like have 2 personalities? Like, is she like, maybe she doesn't remember? I was rewatching them the other night, and it's like Osha doesn't. Maybe the guy's like, "Hey, where were you last night?" And she's like, "I don't remember." And you're like, "Oh my god, maybe she was there." And she, what I mean? Like, do stuff like that to make us wonder.
Yeah.
And then you have these other stories, and we'll get to some stuff when we get into release timing. I think that the episodes were weird. Like episode 4 to episode 5 was kind of weird, because like it just cuts off right as he's floating down, and you're like, all right, next episode is going to be badass. But this episode kind of sucked.
Yeah.
So like there was some weird, for someone who's had so much success too with Russian dolls and stuff like that. I don't understand, but it's just some weird timing with some of the episodes, and then episode 3 and episode 7. I mean, it kills the momentum of the story, I think.
Yes.
Maybe they should have shown that at the beginning, but then that would have lost a lot of people if we're not doing. But I have I had something else too that one of you guys said it earlier, but like I said, I'm saving that for a little bit later. So I mean, no show's gonna be perfect, but there are some big things with timing that could have been changed.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same as you, Jimmy, and you've sort of taken the word I was going to be using, is watching it all back, binge watching it. There is a massive lack of carrying that momentum. So obviously we said that there's no show's perfect. Andor's pretty close.
Yeah.
But with this, you've got that roller coaster where it goes really good, then it dips so far down again, and
the drop is dramatic.
You sort of lose where you are, if that makes sense. You haven't got that anticipation that you have with Andor, like, oh, what's going to go happen next? What's this? That each episode, it doesn't really lead into each other, apart from I think 4 and 5.
I mean, that was like one big episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
they were titled Day and Night too, right? It was Day and then Night.
They all had 2 titles except for the ones with the twins, like the flashbacks, I think.
Yeah, so Day and Night, 4 and 5. Episode 3 had what was Destiny? Sorry.
Yeah, they had weird titles because like the first 2 had like, you had both sides of the coin kind of thing.
But this is a good point, and we'll stick with this because this sort of leads into my point with the momentum and yours as well, Jim. But consistency, right? So we look at episode 1. It's called Lost and Found. Episode 2, Revenge and Justice. Episode 3 is Destiny. Episode 4 is Day. Episode 5 is Night. We know that those 2 are pretty much one long episode, like Jimmy said. Episode 6 is Teach/Corrupt, and then it goes back to episode 7, which is called Choice, and episode 8, The Acolyte. So again, it's a lack of consistency again, even with the titles, which brings me on to the next topic, or subtopic if you like, is why did it get so much hate? Now, we did speak a bit about the budget. We have got some numbers. It was estimated at 180 million. Later revealed, though, it was actually closer to 230 million, which is redonkulous. That's nearly double the budget. On what? I have no idea. Is it the A-list actors such as Daphne Keane, such as Lee Jung Jae, because he was hot off the press at the time with Squid Games. Carrie-Anne Moss, a big time actor in my opinion. Jimmy, what have you got? What have you got for us?
Well, I mean, if you remember, as soon as it was announced and Leslie Headland was introduced, and all that stuff came out about when she was working for Weinstein or what is his name? Weinstein or
Weinstein, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, because you remember, I mean, that's all the negative side talked about was why is this POS, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
just attacking her. She knew what was happening, blah blah blah, and it was like nothing about the show. They were just attacking her
Yeah.
and just,
Yeah.
I mean, just railing on her. And that, I mean, that started from the moment it was announced, even beforehand, I think. But after Celebration, that was all we heard was, nothing was about the show. Everything was about, why would Disney allow this woman to have this kind of power and all the things. And she had nothing had been even, she hadn't even been indicted or anything like that. It was just, what is it? The court of public opinion was just attacked her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then, of
yeah.
course, you have the lead being an African American girl. Now, I'm going to say this. Obviously, there's racist people out there, and they don't want that in their Star Wars. And people didn't give it a chance. I mean, these shows were getting bombarded before they even aired. Like, they'd pop up on IMDb, and then it would get
They got hammered.
destroyed. They destroyed that one movie called The Acolyte. It came out like 10 years ago, and its rating dropped because people had hitting the wrong one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, and I don't want to say, when I say it that way too, because I don't want people like, oh, people legitimately didn't like the show, and that's fine. But there's also people, I think the majority of the people who don't like the show, they have got some underlying issues with race and sexuality and things like that. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Just don't watch the show, or I don't know. It's tough for me to say because like it's not my personality to want to like trash on things, even if I don't like it. I'm just like, all right, I'm just done with it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it has to do with social issues, and then of course the stuff that surrounded Leslie Headland coming into it, and then that just steamrolled. And in this country, in our country, hate just is like a snowball rolling down a hill. Nothing's gonna stop. It just keeps on going, and before that show even came out, it was doomed.
Yeah. Yeah. Brandon, anything from you? Why do you think it got so much hate?
I think the same exact thing, man. It's all social cues, man. It's so sad too, because I mean, you'll even like, you'll get on an Instagram post and it's like, oh, maybe happy birthday to Daphne Keane who starred in The Acolyte, right?
Yeah.
And you hit the comments and you kind of look, people, happy birthday, awesome. And there's always that dude or chick that's just like, yeah, sucked after episode 2. Haven't watched it since episode 3. And it's like, we're talking about Daphne Keane's birthday. Like that had nothing to do with it. So I mean, you see the people like that, like the chuds and the dude bros, like those kind of people. It is what it is. I mean, it's one of those things that was really confusing too, because I feel like one of the after hours reviews that I did with you guys for The Acolyte, it was like episode 4 or something, and it hadn't even like it was day 1 after, or it was like a Wednesday after episode 3.
Yeah.
And their ratings for episode 4 had already been out. And it's like, how? Like, and there was like no special screenings, none of that. So it's like, clearly it's just, I mean, the hate wins in our country. Like, Jimmy was saying, that's just that snowball. It just keeps going and going. And that, I mean, especially on social media, that's what gets the clicks, that's what gets the reviews. Yeah. But I mean, when you have a director, with the Weinstein things, with she's also a lesbian. And she's very open about her sexuality, which is cool. That has nothing to do with me liking a Star Wars project. I don't care what you're into, because it just has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can see some of the female standpoints, with the witches, really cool. I've seen actually a really great point on Instagram that someone was like, who said all of these witches were lesbian? Like, no one said that. And that wasn't even the point. And like, even Leslie spoke about that. She's like, it was just an powerful group of people. She didn't even call them women, So I don't know. There's so many species in Star Wars who are even, multi-gendered. I mean, that's just how it is. We have fish in the ocean that are like that, So it's it's just weird what people decide to hate on and gripe about. Because I mean, if you ask me, if you don't like the show, that's cool. I always love when people can explain why they don't like something. But if we can't talk about the simple things like how cool Kymir's helmet is right here, you want to tell me about how it was just terrible that you know everything went the way it did, and it's just like we're talking about the helmet, dude. Like it's just a weird thing, and that's what kind of
Well,
sucks because the Acolyte will forever have that held to it. But oh
do
well.
you remember though? Like even after that episode aired, and he blanked out that lightsaber, people were losing their mind. Oh,
Oh
she's
yeah.
changing Star Wars. She's changing Star Wars. And then luckily people went out there and they figured out, cortosis and all this stuff. And then of course they explained it the next
Yes.
episode, I think, or two episodes down the road. Like they did explain what the helmet was made out of, but people want to be angry and stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Brandon, you're right though. Like people can't separate. They can't separate. Like if you don't like a certain lifestyle, you can't separate that from the show that you're watching. And
Yep.
that's it goes all the way back to Jar Jar Binks. It goes into Kelly Marie Tran and Reva. I mean, I just
Yeah.
didn't like the character Reva played in it. I'm not racist at all. I just did not like that character. I just didn't feel like she was necessary, or like I think Moses Ingram was a great actor, and I went out and I watched stuff with her in it to see like, okay, is it me or what is this? And I thought,
Yeah.
oh, she's outstanding in these things. I didn't like the way they portrayed her in that show. I just didn't think
That's
they
it.
gave her good lines and stuff. But you call me a racist, I'll punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Because like I know that I'm not.
And that's the thing too, because what's so cool about that is the way you said it. Cool. You don't like it. Now, have you ever, gone on your guys' Explore the Force page and just be like, this chick sucks, like that? What's
Yeah,
the point of that? That does
no,
nothing.
it's
No.
crazy.
But
You
that's
guys could get a lot of clicks from that though. You might try it.
oh yeah.
Not our
Yeah, but at the same time, like you don't have to like it as well.
Yeah,
It
no,
might be a Star Wars
And
quote where
that's fine. It's
people have said
fine.
it's easier to hate than it is to love. It's so much easier
Yeah.
to hate. Just from my perspective, again, I agree with both you guys. Straight from the off, they were set up to fail. Again, with everything that was happening around it, I think some of the press stuff that they did beforehand. I think it was Charlie Bennett who plays Yord mentioned that
Yeah.
Anakin blew up the Death Star, and there's little things straight away, and it's like, oh, here we go. This is not looking good. I remember watching this stuff and thinking, please, come on. I've been waiting for this for nearly a year. So I think
was
it
rough.
was a little set up to fail. I don't think the chemistry was there personally either between the cast. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll use Andor as an example. I use Skeleton Crew as an example. Those were like a family together. Every time we've seen them off screen or on screen, they gelled. You could they were bouncing off each other. And again, this is just my personal opinion, but I think having Lee Jung Jae as probably the main Jedi guy, if you like, the guy couldn't speak a word of English either. So I think you've already got a barrier there. It makes it a bit more difficult. So I think some of the casting was a bit off as well. Right, before we go into a bit further detail, we're going to talk about 5 things you like, 5 things you don't like, but we'll give ourselves a little bit of time just to think about those. But what I want to touch on is probably one of the biggest things, in my opinion, that's come out of this is Vanestra Rowe. Now, this is a huge character in the High Republic, probably the what's the word I'm looking for? Similar to like how big Luke is in the originals. Agreed. And
Yeah, she's up there.
yeah, Jimmy's like the walking Jedi archive. So just how different is Vanestra Rowe, mate, in the book?
Man. So in our book, she's 15 years old, right? Like she gets knighted when she's 15 or maybe even younger.
Yeah.
And then when we pick up with her when she's like 15 and she's like this phenom and she has her struggles and she keeps secrets and things like that. But she's like kind of beloved by most of the people who read the High Republic. She really resonated with, and she shows up mostly in the like, young kid books, and then she slowly comes into. She was introduced by Justina Ireland into the series, one of the first YA, not the YA books, the mid grade little kid books. But yeah, she's super important to the story. She's unique. I mean, and it's just a thing like when we found out she had a force whip or a light whip. I mean, I was like, "Holy crap, that's so cool! It's so neat!" And then they show they show it on the thing, and people are like, "That's not canon." And I'm like, "Actually, it is canon. I mean, even if you're a EU
Yeah.
junkie, it's canon." And so, people just, but she seemed, and again, and we had this conversation because the Wayseeker book, it starts to bridge that gap. Why is and we talked about it. Like, I hate saying like, that's not my Vernestra Rowe. Instead, tell me why she is the way she is now.
Yeah.
Jason had this talked with Justina, and and she had a good point. Like, think about how much you change as a person over your span of time. And Vernestra is over 100 years old. It's been like 100 years since we've read about her in the High Republic. We have no idea what has happened to her.
Nope.
Until we got Wayseeker. So, there's just missing pieces to the story. And that's some of the things, like, you talked about, like, 5 things you like, 5 things you don't. There's just too many missing pieces to her story. I don't know if Rebecca Henderson, I don't never seen her in anything else. And of course she's Leslie Headland's wife. So all the haters are like, "Oh, she got this job." I mean, she looked cool, and like the reason she has the diamond, the tattoos and stuff like that on her head is awesome. But we don't find out about it till a year later in Wayseeker, and so very different character in my eyes.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone loved her in the High Republic, but it's just not what I expected her to be wrapped up into everything that she kind of despised during the books. And Wayseeker does help branch that. Like, if you're a big Vernestra Rowe fan, or you were wondering about her, that book is decent. It does a really good job with Indara, because Indara is nothing like she is this confident, BA Jedi. Nothing like that in the book. Like, she's learning to become that.
Yeah.
For certain reasons. And so yeah, I mean, it's just very different, very weird. They make a couple references to they never say Chimere's name specifically, but she talks about this Padawan that she lost.
Yeah.
And these different things like that. So I mean, that stuff has an effect. It's just completely different from the 15-year-old kid that we saw to, over 100 years old. But again, I mean, think about, like, you outlived everybody for the most part. There's a few Jedi Masters but you hate the Jedi. She does not like the Jedi Order very much. Like,
No.
she gets some beef with them. And so, everyone that you are around or could be around or could really be tight with, you just have these fundamental disagreements.
Yeah.
So, like, you can just get tired of people. And that's the Wayseeker. I keep talking about the Wayseeker book, but it kind of shows her, like, she's closed off to everybody by this point. Like, she's just done with it. So, yeah, she's very different. I don't know. But how many people knew who she was that were watched The Acolyte, though? Do you know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, of
Correct.
1,000 people watched it, like 10 of us knew that she was from something else or had read a book that she was in. You know what I mean? So
yeah, no, they're all valid points, mate. Brandon, what's your take on it?
Yeah, kind of to just piggyback off Jimmy. Like, I didn't even really, like, the only way I knew about Vernestra and like her backstory was from you guys.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, so she'll be really cool in this, and I didn't really have too much of a problem with her just because I don't know her like you guys do. So I will say some of the times with her and like Chimere, like when they kind of like connected before he like threw his helmet on, like that was pretty cool. Seeing her and just kind of like, oh, you, like, I sense you, So yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, oh, that's like not my character. That's not the version I know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I get it. It's 1000%. But I mean, there's so much material about Vernestra that you guys have just like unfolded for years, So I understand that.
Yeah. And I think it sort of ties into the next point, which I was going to sidetrack onto, is a lot of the people I think that defended this were the High Republic fans as well. It's something that they've loved, and the following for it's huge. And they even said it on the panel, they weren't expecting it to be this big. I think Jimmy spoke about it before on previous shows where I think it was Chicago, was it, Jimmy? It was first
Yeah,
announced.
Project Luminous was announced.
Yeah, and there weren't that
We're
many
like,
people. And then Celebration London, there's like 5,000 people in the room, and they were
yeah,
just lost
because
their mind.
we went to Anaheim and it was pretty full. And then the only thing I got into was the book stuff. So I went to all the High Republic things. And then by London, man, it was insane.
Even cosplays were happening.
We got lucky to get in.
Yeah, yeah. So release timing. We'll go on to that next. Release timing. Do we think it was released at the wrong time? Because there was a lot of stuff going on around it. What's your thoughts on this, Brandon?
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I feel like especially with like everything setting up to it. Also, another thing that we didn't mention that can go into this is kind of like the way it was kind of like marketed, because it was like, oh, the
Nice.
Acolyte, we're getting a
Yes.
Sith, we're getting the backstory of the Sith, so it's like, oh well, what characters are we gonna get? I feel like that on top of when it came out, because I feel like it took a really long time.
It took
because
ages.
Jack sent me a link on like a Reddit thread through Facebook Messenger to go watch the trailer that you guys seen, and it was so bad, and like I couldn't really see, but I could depict it. But I was just like, holy, like this is gonna be crazy, But I feel like on top of that, it's just like when you go, a double premiere of the episode 1 and 2, like when we first get to show, we get to see a red lightsaber ignite in the last 30 seconds, and it's like, where's the Sith? Like what are we talking about? And it's just like all of that leading into it. I feel like that kind of helped, like that didn't help the release time and timing. So yeah, I feel like if it came out maybe a little bit sooner, like maybe a year before, could have been a little bit better. But then you kind of run into Bad Batch, Ahsoka. I think we're just got Mando season 3, so it would have been a rough time. But I mean, I don't know. If it came out a little sooner, I bet it would have been a little bit better, especially with like the Leslie Headland controversy, and her personal life, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was kind of off a little bit.
Jimmy?
I think the episodes were timing wise was wrong. Like the 3 and the 7 just didn't make any sense. I know why they did it. I understand that. It just didn't work. It didn't land. So that timing was weird. The episodes themselves, timing wise, I don't know if it would have made a difference unless you can go back and release it before everything blows up in the social media. But one of you, and I can't remember who said it when we were first starting, talked about the stuff that could come from seasons 2 and 3. Maybe the timing was wrong because they should have set up season 3 should have been first. You have all this established stuff, and then you could go back and you could like introduce all this backstory. And and they've done that a lot in books. I mean, if you think about like the Matrix movies and things like that, like they had the ideas for 2 and 3, but they won't make any sense. We got to go back and do the Matrix first and tell the story. And so maybe that could have helped it. I mean, but they really thought that they had something that was going to be like it was going to be bigger than the original Star Wars. Like they were super confident, and it blew up in their faces. But I do think that maybe some things like that were a bit weird, because you have all this potential. Like like Plagueis, like this is going to be a character that everyone wants to know, and we got like not until the very end or whatever, which is fine if there's a season 2. But we don't get season 2, and you're like, what the hell? Like freaking out and stuff. But yeah, I think maybe they could have like timing wise, they could have dropped this. They could have started a season ahead, and we're like, what is going on? And then go back and fill us in, on a season or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just, and I honestly don't know. This could have been Andor good, and I still don't know if it would have been well received. It may have gotten a little bit more love, but yeah, I don't know. Timing wise, I don't know if there's any way to make it better.
Yeah. No, I totally agree as well. I think timing wise was a little bit off. And just going back to the point there about the marketing, they missed a massive opportunity, I think, with the marketing. Huge opportunity to really push it. Because we've seen with Star Wars, right? We've seen who's trained Vader. We've seen his path, where he's come from. Same with Obi-Wan. We've seen his master. We haven't really seen a Sith path. I think it'd be amazing if they did that for Palpatine now, and we sort of, and there's a point where you can see it all connect.
Yeah.
Because obviously, at some point, the Jedi and the Sith, they're all on the same tracks, going across, looking at each other, and then it all comes to a point at Phantom Menace, to a degree. Also, I think as well with this, what would have been decent, maybe hindsight and foresight is great. Imagine if they'd waited until now to drop the Acolyte. There's some more books come out from the High Republic. They've had a bit more time to write it. But again, I think this is sort of our own undoing. Is we are quite passionate and just want with Star Wars, don't we? And I think we're all the same now, where we're like, I think this is a hard lesson for Star Wars fans. Is let's not rush this stuff. Let them take the time out. We went through some news earlier on our news segment about the whole Rey movie being delayed again. That's fine with me as long as it's done properly. This is going to be a make or break, and I think the Acolyte is the wound in the side, if you like, at Disney, where they've gone, right, we got this massively wrong, or not wrong. I want to say, I use a better word, is they didn't get it as right as they could have. I think is a
the potential is through the roof. This might
yeah.
be the most. I mean, I love the Ahsoka and those characters. This show, probably the best idea of a show with the potential, like you guys said, like the Sith and Plagueis, and then leading into the Phantom Menace. Like that would be phenomenal if that's what we had gotten.
You imagine that. It could be done.
Hell
right.
Yeah.
We'll go on to the next one then, and it's gonna. We'll start with 5 things you don't like. 5 things you don't like. We'll cut it down a little bit. We'll see how we're getting on for time. But I'll just start us off with one of mine. So the first thing, that it's probably the biggest thing for me, actually, to be fair, is that we didn't actually see enough of Kalnaka fighting. Such a wasted character, in my opinion. Yes, we saw him fight, but he fought the Jedi like for minutes few. But apart from that, he come on stage, everyone was going crazy. Jonas was obviously the actor. He's done the Wookiee stuff before. And yeah, we got there in episode 5, I think it was, they found him. And he was a corpse.
Yeah.
That sucked.
Then you get a flashback and you see him with his metal detector. Really cool. And then he gets possessed. Yeah, that was one of my points too. I have
nice.
More him.
Nice. So first one we've got then for me and Brandon. Then we'll go with the Wookiee, the waste of a Wookiee, if you like.
Wookiee waste.
Yeah. Jimmy, what have you got for us?
I will tell you guys, if you ever get into the High Republic, they've brought Kalneka into it. They've introduced him because he would have been old enough in some of these last couple books, trying to, I think, redeem that character. But Vernestra Rowe, for me, I think, was a huge disappointment. And I hate to say that. And it's not that she's not my Vernestra Rowe. Just there wasn't enough narrative or storytelling around her to make me understand. And again, I understand, I love the High Republic. Not everyone's reading Star Wars stuff, and the majority of Star Wars fans are not reading. So that's my own personal beef, I think, is I need more from that. But so that'd be my first one, I think.
Okay, nice. Brandon, obviously you're with me on Waste of a Wookiee. What's your second one, buddy?
I have Vernestra lying, maybe. It's hard to tell because seeing Yoda back, that was obviously whoa, wait a second.
Yeah.
And then it kind of cuts there, and it's I don't know, it's just is she gonna lie to Yoda, or is she gonna tell him the truth? And then it goes one of two ways. So does she lie? And it's just lying's not good. So it's just how dare you? Why do you lie to Yoda?
Yeah.
And then 2, she tells him the truth, and obviously Yoda doesn't tell anyone else on the Jedi Council, which then you look back to Clone Wars and you're like, oh yeah, well maybe those weird flashbacks or flashes you had of the dark side and all that temptation, you deserve that now because you suck, Yoda. So it's just one of those things where it's maybe because we do know the Jedi are very, vulnerable to themselves, and they're very high on themselves.
Yeah.
and it is, it's a lot of corruption in itself. So it's just, that was one thing too, is just like, I didn't like that we didn't see what Vernestra was going to tell Yoda. I hate where it cuts off.
Yeah.
Is right before she's going to, spit it out.
Nice. Okay, Jimmy, what have you got?
The death of Jackie Lon. It was
Uh,
awesome. And I was like, I still emotionally have not recovered. I'm like, and this girl, like Daphne Keens, this character is going to be like, how long do they live? She's going to be part of Star Wars. They're going to figure out a way to write her into stuff. And then she gets 3-hole punched. And I was like, what the heck? And I love that because, but I hated it at the same time because I really thought that she had some spunk and things like that. I know they're giving us books, but I'm kind of like, and I'll read it, but I'm just kind of like, I know what happens, and she gets really, I don't know. So yeah, so the death of Jackie Lon, like I get it.
Yeah.
Trying to set that tone, just like they did at the beginning of episode 1 with Carrie or Master Andara, set the tone how bad Chimera is. Like he is a bad, bad man, right? Like he's not to be trifled with.
Yeah.
But did they have to kill Jackie? They had all those red shirt Jedi back there. Like that's what I was. So it's a love-hate relationship with that one.
Nice. That was actually one of mine as well. So I'll use that as my second one. I'll move us into the number 3 spot for us. And one of the biggest things I didn't like for me was the Jedi Order in this. It was so bad. For me, it was so bad. And what topped it off, and the reason I'm saying the Jedi Order was so bad, was Mog. That Jedi, played by Harry Trevendel, or Trevade, I think his name is, Trevelduin. Harry Trevelduin. Oh my gosh. Like, how has he even been knighted, let alone in the Order? And that part where, I think was it Khmer trying to escape? And the 2 Jedi were like on the balcony looking over. Remember that episode?
Yes.
Oh, it was May, right?
3.
Like trying to get out. And they're
That
just
was
like,
it.
hey, what's going on?
Yeah, and then they look. It's just like, oh man, this Jedi Order is not good. It's not good at all. So yeah, my number 3 is the Jedi Order in this. Jimmy, number 3, buddy, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I have that down too, so I'll go with it. It just they address a little bit of it because Vernestra is like super mad about how easy all these kids have got it because it's just, she's like that old, like, imagine like if you're a World War II veteran and you see these people boycotting the Vietnam War. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have, I went and fought for my country because it was. So she's kind of coming out of this time period of like, she grew up in war, kind of like what Ahsoka has to do.
Yeah.
And so then she sees this, which is good for the Jedi, but they get soft and they don't have the skills. They have the Force, but they don't really ever have to use it for much. They're just kind of peacekeepers, I guess. I mean, which is they're supposed to be, but they're supposed to be proficient ones.
Yeah.
But the Jedi Order is kind of wonky, and then they had that whole second, like they had like a sub council that didn't let everything get to the main council. But the Jedi Council does have a lot of history of lying and holding information back. And one of these days, I keep threatening to do that. We threatening for that episode, but the Jedi being their own worst enemy.
Yeah, that's definitely in the works. Brandon, what about you, buddy? What you got for number 3?
Kind of it's not more of a thing I hated, but a thing that I hated not to see was those like bugs, like those like locusts or whatever.
Yeah.
Thing.
I was like, dude, what is this? Like, this is what's gonna take Chimera away?
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? It's more of a kind of a funny thing, but it's just like, what?
No, that's fair.
But yeah, I do think it was also a funny little thing to put. I'm pretty sure they slapped Pip on his back, right?
Yeah.
Or was that just a flat? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So a light, and it's kind of like like June bugs and stuff like that attracted to lights. It's like, all right, whatever. This is how you get him away. Cool. Yeah. After he just like goes ham on like 10 Jedi, but cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Next, I'll start us off with number 4. In fact, Brandon, do you want to start us off with number 4?
Yeah. So I have floating Torben.
Oh.
I do just to keep it simple and sweet, I do enjoy the like character dynamic of Luke, losing Ben Solo
Yeah.
and going off and hiding. I mean, Yoda went off and hid, Obi-Wan went off and hid, just, and that's who he is trained by. So it makes sense. History repeating itself. But plus it's family. So it hits harder. But with Torben just like floating off to the side, just because he, there's a lot of guilt that goes into it, kind of ties into Yoda and Vernestra, like that little dialogue at the end. Like, but Torben just like, wanting to just like float by himself and just like not, just to be in like a forced coma. I was like, what are we doing? What is this?
Yeah.
At least show him in a hut on Dagobah or something.
Nice, like it. Right, I'll come back to my number 4 now. It's come back to me. Carrie-Anne Moss dying so early on for me. That's something that grated on me quite a bit, and knowing the fact that she died so soon, like, and Jimmy sort of alluded to it. There's a lot of things that we saw in trailers, etc., which were big things, and it's like that's like the series, not spoiled if you like, but yes, wasn't a fan of Carrie-Anne Moss dying so early on, especially after an awesome fight scene. So, Jimmy, what have you got for number 4, bud?
Oh my gosh, I just kind of blanked. But overall, some of the writing just a bit wonky. Like the witches, I don't care if they're straight, gay, whatever. It does not matter to me. But when they got to the ceremony, they started doing all that weird stuff. Like I get it, they're witches, but they're also Force users. I don't know that part. I had zero problems with any of that until that moment right there. And I just thought this is weird. Doesn't really fit. They have all that footage of like the Night Sisters and how they do things.
Yeah.
And like they could have gone back and like looked at. I know they need to make it their own, but
I'd have stuck with the Night Sisters.
All the weird things that they were doing. And the mantra was fine. The power of the one, the power of two, the power of many, which is their whole concept. That's fine. But then they started doing all that weird cackling and things like that. And I just thought like that kind of took me out of it. So just that one part. And again, nothing to do. I don't mind the rest of it. I think it's cool that they're the ones that created May and Osha. That shows how powerful they are. And to set up this great idea of this is how Plagueis learned it and all these things, or he helped them. They don't realize it. So it's just that one weird. And that's what I think really plagued the show was just little weird things like that throughout that just kind of pulled you out of it real quick.
Yeah. And that'll tie in nicely to my last one. And unfortunately for me, it was the mantra, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. The chant was, oh God, it was absolutely dreadful. And then they made a song out of it as well at the end of the actual episode, didn't they?
That was weird.
Like,
dude. See, here's my thing with that is it's like I think the song is by Victoria Monet, I believe.
Yeah.
Very, very talented artist. I've actually heard her in other stuff too, but I was just like, so we always get these like John Williams-esque scores at the end of Star Wars. Never once have we had any songs or anything. It was just more of, I don't know. I don't want to be like, okay, like what's Leslie doing here? But it just seemed like it was more of like a, well, this is my Star Wars. I'm just going to plug this in because I can.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, that is something I can get behind and be like, okay, that's not Star Wars.
Yeah, you've got to stick to the script.
But can I sleep at night? Yes. But it is a very, very weird thing where it's just like, okay, we have like a song with lyrics, which it's a cool song. I mean, it actually, it sounds really good in speakers, but I mean, it's just like, oh, well, this isn't, the Duel of the Fates at the end of an episode,
that's a really good point, mate. And again, I think that's what a lot of people thought. I know I certainly did as well, that, you've got to stick to the script in Star Wars. You can't just take it away and do your own thing because it will go wrong if you've not done the research or,
you can't intentionally upset the fans.
Yeah.
It's like, here's a song. You want to hear it? And it's a good song too. It's not bad. It's just like
at the end, like, hey, the season's over. Here's a song that I don't know. Just it's not part of the show though. What music? That would be my last one. Would be the music. Like nothing from this show music stands out to me.
Yeah.
Like there's always like parts of I mean, my most listened to song was the end credits of Ahsoka, like a year or two ago, whenever it came out.
Remember you
yeah,
telling me?
that's
You know what I
good.
mean? It had that whole like,
Yeah,
kind of had that fellow like Game of Thrones and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I can't even tell you if you played the music from it. I probably couldn't tell you. Oh, that's from the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
no,
so
that's fair.
music was not done well.
So I think me and Jimmy were going for the music. What was your last one? Sorry, Brandon. Are you going for the music as well?
Yeah, the music. Yeah, that was just weird. It was
Awesome.
just, yeah.
Right, we're going to finish on a high. We've got things that we like. 5 things. Dead easy.
Yeah.
Dead easy. First one for me, easy peasy. The fight scenes.
Mm.
I still think to date we haven't had anything to top the fight scenes that we've had in the Acolyte. I think if anything stands out from that series, it's the choreography and the fight scenes. Nothing comes close.
Force Fu, baby.
Force Fu. We put our stamp on that. I think we're all in agreement with the fight scenes, yeah?
Hell
Yes.
yeah, those are
Nice.
amazing.
Right, Brandon, we'll come to you then. What we're going for next?
Okay, so I'm gonna say 2 real quick just because they tie into each other.
Yeah.
But Chimere's appearance, with or without the helmet, this jacked dude looks awesome.
Yeah.
The hair is cool. The sleeveless robe is cool. And just the black. My entire closet's black. And I think it just looks so badass. His lightsaber, everything about his appearance. And then switching into the stranger, the helmet, impeccable. I think if we're talking about a mere look, it's better than Vader's helmet. But hold on.
Whoa,
Vader's helmet
canceled.
is Vader's helmet is more iconic. Obviously, 1000%. But this thing looks so cool, and it looks like it's scary. It's like Abeloth and like Kylo Ren created a helmet together. It's scary. So going into the second part, just the spookiness, the horror to him.
Yeah.
I love horror movies. I love being, scared in film, cinema.
Yeah.
That episode 4 when he floats down, I was like, oh no, I'm getting chills.
Yeah.
So yeah, love that character and what it brings.
Nice. So we'll go for props, costumes, a lot and stuff like that, and Manny Jacinto. Jimmy.
Biceps. Ugh. Join the dark side. We've got biceps. I thought his selling of the Sith way was awesome. Like that whole scene.
Yeah.
Just to kind of piggyback off of Brandon a little bit, like that whole scene of him selling why the dark side is cool.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's well done. Like someone had thought about that, and you can see that, and I'm like, oh, this is what we want. Like we want this. I want to be lured in, and like, oh yeah, why is this being a Sith so bad? And then all of a sudden they do something crazy, and you're like, oh crap, like they got tricked too. I mean, that would have been good writing. Like that would have been Laura's, you're rooting for the bad guys and stuff. But Chimere's presentation and salesmanship of the dark side, I thought was a highlight of the series.
Nice. Okay, so we've got 2 left to go. Again, my top 2, no particular order. I'm going to go with Master Sol, and I thought Master Sol was an absolute breath of fresh air in terms of a Jedi Master. It's the first English role of Lee Jung Jae. He had 4 months to learn the English, and he pulled it off. What an actor! Maybe that's where the budget went in intense English lessons. I don't know, but whatever it was, it paid off. So yeah, Master Sol for me. Jimmy, what have you
got? Jackie, man, I don't know what it is about that character. I just thought she was awesome, and I don't want to give away my last one because it's, but there was a lot could have happened with that character, I think, and it could have been a fan favorite, but now it's not.
I was saying it to you. I can remember messaging you saying like this could be the new Ahsoka.
Yeah, it's what we talked about. Like this is gonna be sick. Like she's gonna be like this character is gonna be so cool. We're gonna get books about her, and then, I mean, I honestly felt like I got punched in the face. I remember going on the air right after this episode, and I was like looking at Mike. I think this is Mike and I were doing these, and I was like, I don't even know what to say, man. Like I'm emotional. Like I was so like, what just happened?
Yeah.
because it totally blindsided me. But yeah, I thought Jackie was a really cool character. If you watch her training sequence, which she only has a little one, she's actually doing a little bit more than everybody else in that group. Like she's whipping her lightsaber out a couple more times. And then, of course, her fight scene. And I know it's not all Daphne Keene, but like that fight scene with Chimere, other than the ending, was sick.
So awesome. Hey, speaking of Ahsoka too, remember when she was holding both the lightsabers just like Ahsoka?
Yeah,
I mean,
she
yeah,
stance. Yeah,
so dope.
nice. Brandon, what have you got, mate?
I do love the planets. I thought the planets looked really good. If they told me, and I don't know how things budget, I can barely budget myself. If they were to tell me that a lot of the budget went to the or not the choreography, the cinematography and all of the world building, I'd buy it because everything was perfect. It looked so good. Even just like the stars in the sky looked amazing, you know. So that was a really good one. And I got my last one. That's gonna be real good. But you guys go.
Nice. Okay, I'll start us off. Hopefully, it doesn't steal anyone's. But what I'm gonna go for is Chimere's lightsaber.
Oh yeah,
taking that apart with the little dagger thing was absolutely awesome.
Yes.
Remember, I called that because I saw there was two blades in there, and I was like, dude, I zoomed that in. And I was like, there's two blades in that thing.
Yeah, that
thing
for
was
me.
Sick.
Right, who do I want to go to now? Who wants to go next?
I'll go. I want to say Brandon's for
Yeah.
my number one thing was potential for season 2. Like, I liked the Acolyte. I enjoyed it. There were parts that I'll never watch again. Like, I'll watch episodes 1, 2, 5, and 8. I'll watch them all day long.
Yeah.
But the potential for this, what was next, is the most I've seen in any of the shows. Like, I'm not even, I don't even think like the Ahsoka stuff is coming. Like, I'm excited for it, but I still think that like the potential for this was probably better.
Yeah.
And we have an end period that this has to get to. So I don't know, the potential for this show and some of the characters and things like that, just not, and it wasn't met.
No.
And we'll never find out. I know we're gonna get comics and books, but it's not the same as watching it live action.
No.
As someone who loves the books, live action is still where it's at.
Yeah. Right, Brandon, what have you got for us? We're on suspense.
Darth Plagueis.
Nice.
The Darth Vader. We see him in the late 70s, early 80s. The man who is behind everything, playing chess while everyone's playing checkers, as Palpatine. He returns. Somehow Palpatine returned. It only makes sense. He's the only one that can return. And who is his master? Who is one of the most controversial characters in all of Star Wars, and who helps lead up to the most sinister, smart, enduring character in all of Star Wars, and Palpatine is Darth Plagueis. And it's been a character that's been talked about since, the early 2000s, and we finally got to see him in live action. So, it's too important of a character to be left out. And I think just the 4 seconds of seeing him was the craziest thing. I still remember looking at my brother, and we were just kind of like, what? Like, what? Who? That? And you just know it's Plagueis. So I still feel the feeling. That's probably the highlight of the Acolyte, outside of Chimere, of course. So
nice. Right, any final words before we wrap up?
Yes, I do. So Manny Jacinto at Star Wars Celebration, when he got gifted the Stranger helmet, absolutely loved it. It was super heartfelt with the fans. With how bad the Acolyte was received, I don't think that he would have gone out there.
No.
If something wasn't cooking. And when he held up a peace sign to the crowd, I think it was more than just a peace sign. I think this represents season 2.
Ooh. Nice. I've heard whispers that it might not be as dead as people are thinking as well, but we'll see what happens.
I think they could change the name. Season 2 could be like The Apprentice. And then you can have, and then you could separate yourself enough. Maybe don't bring Leslie Head. I hate to say that because she did create this story, but she didn't get it done, man. In all fairness, she didn't. And so let bring Bryce Dallas Howard in. Let her
Fucking
clean
hell.
this up.
Somehow Wendy
her
returned.
family
Yeah.
has a history of coming in and cleaning up
Yep.
projects in Star Wars. Let her come in and she can call Dad every once in a while for a tip, but Bryce would crush this, man. Give her
Oh,
full
yeah.
reign. Everything we've heard from all these people that worked with her and been around her, she's phenomenal. She deserves it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
100%.
Bryce Howard.
Let's go.
Okay, awesome. Right, Brandon, we'll let you go. Again, thank you so much, dude. Super appreciate your time. Again, my friend, the floor is yours. Just let the listeners and the viewers know where they can catch you.
Yeah, go check me out. Clan Brandolorian, YouTube and Instagram mainly. TikTok on the side as well. All things Star Wars, lore, theories, Funko, Lego. Come check us out. Fun time.
Awesome. Jimmy, any final remarks?
I think I'm good.
Happy days. Thank you very much then, Brandon, for coming on.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, big thanks to Brandon for joining us today. Also, go check out, I was just live on his show like an hour before we recorded. So some good talk about the hidden path and things like that. And if you have any more thoughts or feelings on the Acolyte 1 year removed, let us know. Join the Discord if you want. But anyways, if you have any questions, you want to hear your voice, you want to hear your thoughts and stuff on the show, DM us on all the socials at exploretheforce@gmail.com. Send us an email, send us a voice note. Remember to like this episode, share it with your Star Wars friends and family. Follow us on all social media platforms. Just search Explore the Force, all one word. You're watching on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, and if you want to look as handsome as Mike the Mailman by showing your support and spread the word around by images as well as voice, then head over to Redbubble and search Explore the Force, where you can purchase unique merchandise. And a massive thank you to everyone interacting with us on our social media. We've had loads of comments this week again. Also, congratulations to us on passing 7,000 followers, Jimmy. How have we not mentioned this?
I don't know. We're on our way to 10K. Big things will happen when we get there. Big things will happen when we get there. So, finally, you've been either listening or watching Explore the Force. We have spoken. We'll see you guys next week.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?
Close your eyes. Feel it.
I am a Senate.
As wise as Master Yoda, as powerful as Master Windu.
They'll do their job well. I'll guarantee that.
I am going to end this once and for all.
You were the chosen one!